90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they worked so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia. More information is at farmbureauadvantage.com.
The remarkable soybean. From its oil, we get products like ink, candles, and paint. From its meal, we get a high-protein fiber used in foods and animal feeds. Natural soy is replacing chemicals and products you use every day. You can learn more about soybeans at vasoybean.com.
There are 30,000 roadway accidents each year involving cars and farm machinery. Farmers will be moving equipment for planting and harvest season. The slow-moving vehicle triangle in red and fluorescent orange colors and flashing lights allow for quick identification. When you see an SMV sign on farm equipment, slow down, prepare for sudden stops and slow turns.
Patience will save lives. Just remember, we all need to share the road, we all need to be responsible, and we need to be guided by the law.
Motor vehicle safety starts with you.
Millennials and agriculture. Now there's two words you don't often find paired together. This week we explore what farmers should know about millennials and what millennials should know about agriculture. My special guest for this conversation is Morgan Slavin. We also have a story on field conditions during the month of May. Plus, we'll review a new book about farm dogs. Those stories and more on this episode of Virginia Farming. I'm Jeff Ishii. The spring of 2017 is progressing well here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Farmers have nearly wrapped up corn planting season now, and they're turning to other crops, including soybeans, peanuts, and cotton. Fruit and vegetable growers report generally good field conditions this spring, with the end result being a nice crop of strawberries and a bumper crop of spring vegetables. Soil moisture is described as adequate on most Virginia farms, and ponds are mostly full, and streams are running at near normal levels. Well, the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service is now forecasting the winter wheat crop in Virginia at 8.6 million bushels. That's down by 7% from the previous year. State statistician Herman Ellison says the primary reason for the smaller crop is reduced acreage. Farmers in Virginia planted a much smaller area to wheat last fall. Yields, however, they're expected to be 64 bushels per acre this year. That is up by 11 bushels when compared to 2016. Well, Virginia State University and Cooperative Extension recently recognized a small-scale farmer in King and Queen County for his efforts in teaching others about agriculture. Sherry McKinney has the story.
Small-scale farms are loosely defined as those with 10 acres or less. The latest Census of Agriculture reports that out of approximately 46,000 farms in Virginia, more than 16,600 farms have less than 9 acres in production.
Well, I'm really quite encouraged right now by the number of small farms that are cropping up, if you will. There is growth in the numbers. It's because I think largely people, the general public, are wanting us to be here.
Charlie Maloney and his family operate Dayspring Farms in King and Queen County. For more than a decade, they've been building a community-supported agriculture program on the 18 acres that he farms. He now has 175 CSA members picking up orders of fresh vegetables. Customers include families, restaurants, and stores.
Because I was executive director of a counseling center, Miriam had a full-time job in counseling-related work, and we had 4 children, so we had our hands full with other stuff. But I left my practice in 2001 and started working here full-time. And at that point, we were really able to grow the market and grow the farm, and to where now, we both are full-time farmers. Yeah.
VSU honored Maloney with the Andy Hankins Small Farmer of the Year Award, named after the legendary former VSU Extension Specialist Andy Hankins, who worked closely with small producers across the state. Hankins was a tireless advocate for small farm operators, including finding new market opportunities and network connections. Hankins passed away in 2012.
For me, it goes back even before, I guess they called it the Small Farm Outreach Program, to Andy Hankins, who was one who, when we started out here in the 90s, took us seriously. You know, Andy would come out here and see what we were doing. He'd bring out other extension agents. He would always support, you know, what we were doing, give us some ideas about maybe some different crops we might grow, marketing, just a lot of good encouragement.
VSU's Small Farm Outreach Program provides assistance in a wide range of areas across 25 Virginia counties. Production tips, financial management, marketing, connecting with the U.S. Department of Agriculture programs, and other opportunities are promoted to growers. These farms are often in areas where small producers have limited resources and are at an economic disadvantage. Many of these programs are very practical. Maloney's farm operation received a boost when VSU helped him apply for grant money to build hoop houses in order to extend his growing season.
We began to attend, you know, some of the events that they were having at VSU, Randolph Farm there, through their extension program and through their then later the Small Farm Outreach Program. So began to learn, you know, some more practical applications of things like, for example, working in greenhouses and high tunnels, growing, you know, more of the specialty kind of crops. It's helped us build a network, if you will, with other people that are doing something similar.
For more information on how small farmers can find help through VSU, go to the School of Agriculture's website at agriculture.vsu.edu and search for Small Farm Outreach Program. Reporting in King and Queen County, I'm Sherry McKinney.
And thank you, Sherry, for that report. Well, agritourism is big business in Virginia. That's according to Governor Terry McAuliffe, who recently announced the results of a new economic impact study on agritourism. The bottom line, it indicates that Virginia's agritourism industry accounts for $2.2 billion in economic activity. The report also shows agritourism businesses have generated about 22,000 jobs and injects about $135 million in state and local taxes each year. McAuliffe says agritourism brings visitors to Virginia, offering them a learning experience focused on rural communities, farms, and agriculture. Well, farm tractor sales across the nation were up in April. That's according to the monthly flash report provided by the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. Smaller tractors seem to be in highest demand, primarily those tractors with four-wheel drive and under 40 horsepower. Overall, farm tractor sales were up about 7% when compared to April of last year. Sales of farm combines for the month, they were about even with last year. Well, Virginia cattlemen are seeing a lot of foreign demand for quality beef. Clint Mefford has the story from the American Angus Association.
The strong U.S. dollar left our beef export trade at a disadvantage in recent years, despite growing opportunities in Southeast Asia. Without the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the beef trade is looking for other avenues to secure those markets.
That's why it's important now more than ever to really work to tear down those tariff and non-tariff barriers. And the best way to do that is through free trade agreements.
With beef supplies rising, exports must play a larger role in demand, especially for the cuts not much in demand here like tongue and tripe.
Our government could choose to withdraw from NAFTA, and that would mean that all of the tariffs that we placed on foreign goods would go back into place. It would also mean that all those goods, all the exports that we send to Mexico would receive that 25% tariff rate that they did pre-NAFTA.
The National Cattlemen's Beef Association is working with the government and industry to open more markets.
But we are capitalizing on that high-end grain-finished beef that Asian consumers are really buying in record numbers. And so we look forward to capitalizing on that and trying to add more value to the bottom line of our producers.
I'm Clint Mefford.
Thank you, Clint, for that report. The county fair season is just around the corner. It's a time for rural communities to celebrate agriculture, have fun on carnival rides, and eat some really good food. One of the most active places at many Virginia fairs is the livestock barn. That's where members of 4-H and FFA show their finest animals. Now we have numerous county fairs coming up in early summer, including the Greene County Fair in Stanardsville. There's also the Caroline County Agricultural Fair in Ruther Glen and the Tazewell County Fair in Tazewell. Now, whether you're looking for tractor pulls, livestock shows, or just to see who can grow the biggest pumpkin, we encourage everyone to visit their local county fair this summer. Well, millennials and agriculture. What do millennials know about farming? And what do farmers know about millennials? That's our focus on Ag Insights coming up next. Hello everybody, Jeff Ishii here with Virginia Farming. It's my pleasure to welcome back to our program. You were with us several weeks ago. Morgan Slavin, you're from here in Weir's Cave, Virginia, in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. A very historic spot for Virginia agriculture and organizations that you've been involved with. But tell us more about yourself. One of the things I want to talk about today with Morgan, she is in her mid-20s. I want to talk about millennials and agriculture. And I think we're going to have some interesting
I think so.
Well, there's a lot of things that can be said, but tell us about Morgan Slavin.
Sure. Well, the first thing I always tell folks is I'm proud to be part of a family farming operation here in Weir's Cave. My siblings and I are the 6th generation to live and work on our family farm, and that's something I'm very proud of. But I currently have a 9-to-5 job with the Virginia Foundation for Agriculture in the Classroom as a development associate, but definitely very passionate about agricultural advocacy, agriculture literacy, and bridging the gap between producer and consumer.
You also have experience with Farm Bureau, I believe.
I do.
And you were a state officer with FFA.
I was. So I used to do some program work with American Farm Bureau with the Young Farmer Rancher program and rural development, and then also was on state staff after I was a state FFA officer, was a state coordinator for the FFA officer team for several years. So I love that program development work too.
Very involved in Virginia agriculture, and we certainly appreciate everything you do, Morgan. All right, millennials and agriculture. A lot of us old fogies, we're trying to figure this out, but maybe you can help us. There's a generation, age, I don't know, 18 to mid-30s or so, and we are trying to understand from a couple of different perspectives about millennials and agriculture. I think most of us we're concerned about the future of agriculture and where is it going to go from here. The average Virginia farmer is 58 years old. That's my age. I'm 58 years old. So what is Virginia agriculture going to look like 30 years from now when you're in your... So let's broach this from a couple of different perspectives. First of all, the consumer perspective.
Yes.
What impact has the millennial had on agriculture from the consumer perspective?
So the first thing that comes to my mind when you ask that question is I remember sitting in a common space area my freshman year at Virginia Tech, and the common book that year was Animal Vegetable Miracle. And it talked about locally sourcing food, and this family who actually, I believe, resided in Southwest Virginia, only got their food, source their food from within, I think, maybe 100 miles or something. So I remember sitting in my room and overhearing one of my peers out in the common space say, "You guys, after I read this common book, we can't eat the potatoes at D2. And I said, what in the world? So I go out and I listened in on the conversation. She said the potatoes are from Idaho, and the book said you can only get food from within 100 miles. She said this while holding a Starbucks cup, and I'm not really sure if cocoa beans and sugar are sourced within 100 miles of Blacksburg. But with that being said, I believe millennials, especially now that we're getting into the consumer world, we're making purchasing decisions in the grocery store, we're finding and sourcing our own information. I think consumers, especially in the millennial age, are most interested in getting their information firsthand. And whereas I think other generations have referred to the news or did their own research, a lot of times millennials are getting peer recommendations. You see all the time on Facebook, those asks.
It is truly a different age, because when I was your age, it was all about TV dinners and convenience and microwave ovens and whoever read a label on a food product?
Exactly.
Who cared where it came from? But now people really want to know not only where it came from, but they want to know exactly how it was produced.
Yes.
Why?
I think a lot of it comes from, especially the idea of environmental impact. A lot of millennials are more aware about their place in society and maybe how they influence the people around them, the world around them. So I think that, and this is my perspective, that a lot of consumer millennials are out there wondering, okay, I want to know exactly who's producing my food. I want to make sure I'm supporting somebody locally, my money's being used the right way, and also to make sure that they can be guilt-free when they go to eat.
Guilt-free, that's interesting. They want to have a conscience. They have a conscience. I see that's totally alien to my generation. You went through the drive-through and you could care less as long as it was under $1, you bought it.
Exactly.
Well, that's very interesting. Of course, we have seen a lot of trends with this buy local, the farm to table movement.
Yes.
I haven't been inside a university cafeteria in a long, long time, but I suspect it looks dramatically different from when I was in college.
Oh yes. Again, that year, it became a big push to want to have this locally sourced food, and I believe now Virginia Tech is utilizing a lot of their own livestock, beef products, some of the on-farm or on-university raised products in the cafeterias now.
Yeah. Well, it's all about change and people accepting change. You know, there's an old pearl of wisdom that says the only change that most people like comes from a vending machine.
This is true.
But change is going to be constant. There is going to be change. Now let's talk about the changes that we could see in production agriculture with millennials. How many people, and tell me about some of your friends who are interested in being an agricultural producer.
I think that the face of the agriculture producer will change in the way that they manage their time, money, and resources. I believe millennials that are my age are more interested in researching, again, kind of that same aspect where consumers are researching more where their food comes from. Millennials my age are thinking, okay, how can I be the most efficient? Maybe it's apps on their phone for better record keeping. Maybe it's attending a lot of the seminars that Extension or Farm Credit are hosting so that they can get a better idea. But I think millennials are a learning generation, and they're going to be constantly trying to stay ahead of the curve to make sure that they're up to date with the highest technology that they can utilize.
We're talking with Morgan Slave. And Morgan, what can we, people in my generation, and again, I am the age of the average Virginia farmer, 58 years old, what can we do to ensure the success that agriculture continues and that those producers are successful?
I think the greatest bit of advice I can give on this is to give us a shot. I read an article one time that questioned the commitment of young people to agriculture, and I don't think that that our more mature generation should discount new ideas just because they're different from maybe how they have done them in the past. And there's a huge, we're being compared to the baby boomers as far as causing change within society and culture. And so I would say give us a shot, because we're looking at the highest interest rates, we're looking at the highest tuition, we're still going to school to become involved in production agriculture, and we're coming out with less access to capital, less access to land, and it's a new time, but give us a shot, we'll make it happen.
Well, there certainly is a lot of creativity out there. And matter of fact, I've seen young farmers here in Virginia who don't even have land. They are growing, for instance, salad greens in an old abandoned warehouse.
Yes.
And it works.
Yeah.
It works. And they're making a profit. So, my generation would say, well, are they really farmers?
Yeah.
You don't have to ride a tractor to be a farmer.
Exactly. It's not plows, cows, and sows anymore.
Well, again, this is a very interesting topic, I know, to a lot of our viewers, because I think I'm sure that all of our viewers, we want to encourage the next generation.
Yes.
We want to make sure that Virginia agriculture continues in the future, and we want to make sure that we're not ever at a point where we're importing most of our food supply. Exactly. I think most of our viewers would agree with me, and I hope you would agree with me, that we want our food to be locally sourced if possible, but certainly within the United States of America and grown by American farmers.
Exactly.
Obviously, we do have to import some things, but not everything. Very interesting conversation, and I look forward to having you back on the program maybe again in the future, and we'll continue this conversation about millennials and agriculture. We'll be right back. Well, this week we take a look at a new book concerning dogs on the farm. The title we are reviewing this week is Farm Dogs. It's a relatively new book, just published in 2016. Farm Dogs is a comprehensive breed guide to 93 different guardian dogs, herding dogs, and other examples of working dogs that are often found on farms. From the table of contents all the way to the index, author Janet Donner helps us to gain a deeper understanding of our canine friends, especially those that may be used by farmers for specific purposes. For instance, how do you choose the appropriate breed for your particular farming operation? Is it an Akbash? Is it an Australian cattle dog? Or perhaps a Jack Russell? This book offers an in-depth guide to the behaviors and temperaments exhibited by certain breeds of dogs. Farm Dogs is full of colorful photographs and numerous charts. It really helps people to understand some of the possibilities when it comes to choosing a dog for your farm. The book is 352 pages, softbound, and was published by Story Publishing. It's available from numerous resources. Our pearl of wisdom this week comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who once said, "We aim above the mark to hit the mark." Submit your own pearl of wisdom through our website at virginiafarming.com. Oh, and remember that you can catch our show on demand anytime you like, even from your smartphone at virginiafarming.com. That does it for our show this week. Have a great week, everyone. I'm Jeff Ishii for Virginia Farming.
"90 years ago, the Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve a way of life they work so hard to establish. We want to keep Virginia, Virginia. Anyone can be a Farm Bureau member, and there's a local Farm Bureau in every county. More information is at vafarmbureau.org.
Virginia soybean farmers are hard at work growing soybeans to produce products you use every day. Candles, soaps, even crayons can be made from soybeans. Remember, when you buy soy, you're helping to support American jobs, the economy, and our nation's energy security.
We all want healthy rivers and streams, but we can't do that without help from Virginia's landowners. Resource Management Plans, or RMPs, are part of a voluntary program that helps farmers get credit for cleaning up our waters. And once you have an RMP, you are exempt from any new water quality requirements for 9 years. The Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation has funds available to help you implement these plans. Contact the department today to learn more. Thank you.
This message sponsored by Virginia's agriculture community.
Check out Virginia Farming on Facebook. Virginia Farming's Facebook page is a great way to stay connected with Virginia agriculture. You might even find some humor there too. You'll find links to events and happenings all over the Commonwealth that are of interest to farmers and consumers alike. So connect with us and share your stories and photos with the Virginia farming community and keep up to date on all things agriculture. Virginia Farming on Facebook.